Hey, Drew, guess what?
What?
We're in an advertisement.
Well, that is neat.
Anchor has asked us to help advertise the platform we use for this very podcast.
Using Anchor has made it really easy for us to distribute our podcast across almost every streaming service and has helped us grow to the point we're at now.
Yeah, thanks, Anchor. You're the best.
If you have any questions about using Anchor, please reach out to us. We'd love to share our personal experience with you and help you get started doing your own podcast.
All right, let's start the show. How do you do, Pod World? This is Chris Sinclair.
And this is Drew Garrison, and we're back.
Welcome to the Good Bottle Podcast.
Oh, man. So there was a week off, essentially, because somebody went and had a child.
Yeah, I'm trying to make better life choices, but clearly that's not
It's
keeping up
over
with
for you.
That's it.
You've made the worst life choice. And it's great to be a dad, but now you don't get to make choices anymore. Now
Correct.
It's solely about your child.
I've been married, so my ability to make choices had gone away a long time ago.
Well, that makes sense. But congratulations, bud. Welcome to the dad family. Welcome more particularly to the girl dad family.
Yeah.
It's a fun group, and it's a great group to be a part of. So,
I'm really excited.
you should be. And your kid's hella cute. So, good job, Jen.
She is fucking adorable, and thank God she looks more like my wife than me. Which I know you appreciate because, you know.
Yeah, my
God
daughter
damn
looks like my
That's
wife
right.
as well, so I can do that. And then we're both just
Well done.
uh,
Marrying people with stronger genes.
we outkicked our coverage. For sure. Football reference. It's football Sunday.
Yeah.
And we're here recording a podcast instead of watching the big game.
I feel great about that.
Although we did watch it on Gamecast, and it appears in the last 15 minutes the 49ers have allowed 21 points and not scored any themselves. And they're now losers of the Super Bowl. So to all of our friends, which we know we do have quite a few that are 49er fans, maybe next year?
Hardcore shruggy pose?
Hardcore shrug. But let's get back to the fun stuff and let's celebrate. We're going to bust out our bottle of booze.
Whoa.
Yes. Whoa, indeed. Folks, I really wish we had a visual podcast right now.
Yeah, I like the mushrooms on the label.
It's like the most confusing
it
first note that you can give.
Yeah, it really makes me feel like this is a lot more dangerous than it probably is.
Yeah, so what we're going to be drinking is actually the Sol Tarasco Charanda Hongos rum from... well, I guess I didn't have to say rum. Well, I guess, rum, so that people know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But this Charanda is from Michoacan, Mexico. So for our friends and family out there who don't know what a Charanda is rum, but because it's from Michoacan, it's actually called Charanda. And Charanda is the Tarascan word for red soil. Chris, do you know what the Tarascan language is?
I don't.
Okay, so that was the language that predated the Spanish invading Mexico. So this is the language they were speaking before Spanish became the number one language in
really
Mexico.
cool.
So when you see that, you'd be like, in Michoacan.
In Michoacan.
Yes. Yeah. So this one in particular, we do carry some of its counterparts. So, and actually you carry them as well.
I'm a big fan.
You have the 50-50 blend plus the 100% agricole. This is an aged expression that we actually don't have available in the United States. And not only is this aged, but they also infuse mushrooms into it at one point. So the bottle is awesome. It has this really beautiful illustration of mushrooms on the front. And then there's actually like this little
mushroom charm.
This little necklace thing that hangs around the neck of the bottle, this metal mushroom, and it's super rad. I got this bottle during my last trip to Michoacan, when I actually got to visit the distillery, hang out with Miriam, who's the producer of this. She's like the most amazing woman in the entire world. And that was almost a year ago now. I have been sitting on this bottle since then, waiting for the right situation to pop it open. And I was sitting there getting my bottles ready today, and like, hey, what are we gonna drink tonight? And I was like, you know what? My boy just had a baby girl. Let's pop open some mushroom Charanda and see what the hell happens.
That's great.
So, without much further ado, we're gonna.
Sorry, Jen. Tonight might get a little weird.
Well, we got to be careful because this is also like the king of DUI days.
That's right.
And so there's actually little bits of mushroom that are going to be in our beverage as well. So make peace with that. I'm actually going to throw a little bit more in there.
Yeah, mine didn't get any.
Yeah, I got all the little.
You got all of it. It was
bits
just floating right near the top.
I'll pull one out for you and let you chew on it.
All right.
So again, this is a pretty fun agricole expression, and agricole, we're talking about sugarcane distillate, copper pot distillation, and again, just a really fun expression. Then at one point they throw in some mushrooms for good measure.
The high esters and whatnot coming off of this right in the glass. I mean, that's intense. I know it's only 40%, but it smells like it's more, for sure. But the color is great too. It looks like a rich apple cider or something like that, or like apple juice. I got Martinelli's. It certainly doesn't taste like Martinelli's though. Holy moly! Damn, Drew, that's good.
Super, super different, right?
Yeah. The barrel aging on that it really sets it apart from the two other Charandas.
Yeah, I mean, so typically when you have these types of expressions, or at least the ones that we're familiar with,
Right, the ones that I carry. Yeah.
They're super vegetal, very bright. And this one has this really interesting calmness to it, and it comes in. There's also heavy vanilla notes. There's almost like this unique sweetness. I wonder if that comes from the mushrooms itself.
I'm assuming they're using ex-bourbon barrels.
Yeah, so this is a blend of 12, 24, and 36 months. So kind of having some different expressions along the way is kind of interesting, which I really love about what they do down there. Blending those different barrels together to kind of come to this taste profile is really cool. And I've been in their barrel room and it's super awesome.
Yeah, it has a really fun finish to it, which reminds me of the last God damn it, Chris. The Whistle Pig, the
Last
Boss Hog.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Samurai Scientist. Samurai Scientist Boss Hog has this great mushroomy quality to the finish of it. Not because they threw mushrooms in it, unlike this, where they threw mushrooms in it.
Put mushrooms in it.
Yeah. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, I'm in just reading up on it and just trying to see other people's interpretations of it, because again, this is not a product that's available in the United States, but you can get it in the UK, and I love these notes. That I'm actually reading the Fat Rum Pirates website, and he does some pretty cool reviews, and they're very well researched and stuff. So despite the horrible name, I do enjoy this guy's site. But he talks about the Charanda has the not so secret ingredient, dried mushrooms.
I mean, this smells like my 20s at a house party when someone just broke out the shrooms.
Is that what it's calling back to?
Definitely for me.
That is awesome. I don't know if there's issues with bringing in something like this to the U.S. in terms of throwing that food in there. In terms of the infusion, I don't know, but I definitely want to apply some pressure to our importer and be like, dude, let's get some aged Charanda up here. This stuff is dope.
Yeah, it's fun.
So there is that. We'll be sipping on this the entire time. Again, sorry guys, you can't get this exact version, But you can get their unaged versions, which to me are some of the best rums that are on the market right now. And you can find them at Chris's bottle shop as well, which is super awesome. But moving on to housekeeping, you made a promise to the listeners 2 weeks ago that we were going to cover slang terms for bourbon that you thought were funny.
I don't think it's funny. I think it's fun to go through them. I think if you're not an industry pro, hearing some of the lingo that we use and that we threw around sounds a little funny. But some of the stuff that was on this list, I had never even heard of.
That's true,
and it kind of made me laugh a little bit.
Okay, so there's 11 terms that are listed here on this page, and so I'm gonna ask you if you know what they are.
Great,
and then if you do, you can tell me. And if you don't, we'll read what they say it is.
Okay, good. So I don't.
Or you can even give an educated
We're gonna
guess.
balderdash this.
Yes. All right. First term: juice.
Juice is the liquid that we're talking about. Alcohol.
Yes. Don't get too much.
Okay, all right.
Too much. Unicorn.
Unicorn is the hard to find booze.
Honey hole.
That's oh man. So many things.
Okay, so what it is a liquor store that is both rich in prized bottles of bourbon and sells them at near or at their retail prices. Most honey holes are found on the outskirts of urban areas where they will receive a city's allocation of high-value bourbon, but with far less foot traffic. So, you will never be a honey hole. You have way too many people around you. Honey barrel.
Honey barrel, I'm assuming at that point in time then is a great bourbon, great price, or great juice, great price. That's hard to find, or
not necessarily. It is unrelated to the honey hole. The honey barrel is something out of the old bourbon lore. It is the Platonic ideal bourbon barrel created by unscientific, quote unquote, know it when you taste it fusion of temperature, rickhouse, location, age, distiller, know-how, and luck. So,
great.
Yeah. So I guess if you could be like, you taste something you really like, it's a single barrel expression, you'd be like, man, that's one hell of a honey barrel. You know, that could be what you say. Fake tan.
Fake tan is color added.
Yes. Tater.
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 I don't know.
A tater is a sign of the times. The latest word in bourbon whiskey parlance. A tater is an enthusiast who perpetuates a category's newly found hype culture. Taters are the type to run to a liquor store upon hearing a bottle is getting hot, like let's say if it won an award, and buy a case for the sole purpose of reselling it. For a more complete list of tater moves, check out Tater Talk 81 and counting signs. You might be a tater.
Where did that come from?
Well, I think I definitely see it in a lot of groups where you see people, because people are like painfully honest on these pages, right? So I've watched numerous people come in and be like, hey, I'm new to bourbon, what should I buy, and stuff like that. And then within 3 months, like, they're talking as if they've been doing it for years.
But why tater?
I don't know. Maybe that's like a Deep South thing. That's like a diss for taters.
I don't know.
I don't know. It sounds like it could be.
I like taters.
Well, this is not the kind of tater you want to be.
Obviously.
So don't be a tater. We might have to do that Tater Talk 81 and counting signs, because that does sound hilarious. Moving on. White Dog.
White Dog is unaged whiskey.
Yes. Angel Share
is the evaporation from the barrel.
Yes. The Hunt.
The Hunt is looking for something good?
Correct.
Okay.
I also hate that term, like, religiously, because it's so dumb. Dusties.
Shit that sits on the shelves.
Yes. So the way that they describe it here, bottles of old out-of-production booze that's been sitting in a case at the back of the shelf or long buried in someone's liquor cabinet. Hunting dusties is a graduated form of bourbon collecting, a practice that requires foreknowledge of what was made in the past and valuing, of course, where it might be hiding. Dusties, I've also seen referred to as like someone, like a liquor store has it on their shelf, but they have it for some ridiculous price, so all it does is collect dust there.
Yeah, it somehow offers legitimacy to whatever that store's doing.
Yeah, right? Like, oh yeah, we have all these allocated bourbons, but they're 3 times
They never want to sell them because they just want it to sit on the shelf.
Totally, right. Totally. So those would be dusters. Flipper.
All right, someone who buys and sells booze?
That is Correct. Now, that is the end of the list. One that I think other people should know of is museums. Museum is also kind of an extension of the Dusties kind of thing. It's where you have all these bottles that will never leave that place because they're priced so egregiously that no one would ever buy that.
Sounds like a really smart business model.
God, I think so many different places are guilty of that in like numerous ways. So even if it's not necessarily like a Dusty situation where something's like too expensive, but let's say I go into a place and they're like, oh, well, I'd really like to take in your mezcal gin, whatever, but I have so many of these right now, I got to wait till I get rid of them to do something with it. I'm like, well, what are you doing to get rid of them? Well, nothing. Oh, great. So they're going to sit there for another 3 years while you do nothing with them. And I just, I feel like there's just a certain point, like after that invoice has been paid and it's been sitting on that shelf for numerous years, it's like that thing is costing you money.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
I
mean, that's real estate.
Yeah. And it's just like you could have something that you actually want that you could push, but you're like, well, 3.5 years ago, the former bar manager bought this gin and I don't know what to do with it. It's like $2 shots, bro. Get rid of it.
Break even.
Just get rid of that bottle. Yeah. So there's that. One other housekeeping thing. We are working on the sound issues, and I appreciate anyone and everyone who has continued to deal with us in those things. You would not believe how much time we spend on this, and then eventually just throw our hands up and go, F it, we're just going to do it this way, and hopefully it sounds okay.
Yeah, and that's why most of our episodes sound fine.
Yeah.
Not great.
They're fine. Eventually, when we get that sponsorship, we'll hire
and so really, this is on you guys because none of you are paying for us to get into a sound booth. So figure it out.
We will figure it out. And with figuring that out, we are going to jump right into our stories, and we're gonna kick this off with The Spirit Business, which is a publication within our industry. Also has a very engaged website as well, which you can check out. Has released the entire list of the most innovative brands of 2019. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the top 5, and then Chris is going to give some of his highlights of other ones that are on there. It actually is a really cool list.
It's a really neat list
of things to check out, and I think it's important for people to look at this stuff because if you are running a bar program or if you're looking for some way to make a cocktail stand out, go through this list because there's some really cool stuff on here and maybe things you haven't considered. So with that being said, we're going to start at number 5, and this is Acorn Drinks. This is the first dip into non-alcoholic aperitifs. Now, this is a company that's making this is Seedlip, and they have 3 expressions right now: 100% English-grown grapes, pressed early and blended with appetite-stimulating herbs, roots, and bitter botanicals.
We talked about Acorn on a previous episode.
Did we?
I believe last season. Yeah,
last season.
Yeah,
I don't remember that, but good for them. So like right now, I have smoked cherry wood, vanilla, cola nut, and chinota.
Neat.
So that's the number 5 for most innovative brand. At number 4, you have Ichiko Satan, maybe. This is actually something that I do remember talking about to a certain degree. This is a Japanese spirit which is similar to sochu, whereas sochu is around 25% ABV. This one is closer to 43%, so definitely a lot more cocktail friendly. This is something that's been used in like RTD cocktails and things like that already. So that is what's coming in at number 4. At number 3, you have the Never Never Black Juniper Amaro. This is from a South Australian distillery where they are taking different components of juniper, roasted juniper, spent basket juniper, and then a juniper from a gin production run, and then fresh juniper, all put together, steeped in neutral spirit, and then hand pressed into extract flavor. The thought process is they want to get people into Amaro by having a flavor profile of juniper in like gin to bring more people to the portfolio or to the profile.
Yeah, I mean, it's juniper four ways, which is pretty neat. I never would have thought of roasted juniper, but sure, why not?
Yeah.
I really want to try this. This sounds really fascinating to me.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the theme throughout this entire list, right? Is that there's just so many interesting, cool things. This next one is called Air Vodka. I need you to strap in for this
Which
one.
made me, I mean, I looked at the name and I guffawed pretty hard.
You guffawed?
I guffawed.
What does that mean?
That's my laugh. That's my, my loud, sharp laugh that I have that is so just silky smooth.
I rolled my eyes.
But that's fair because I did the same thing.
Okay, so like I said, strap in for this one. This is a Brooklyn-based technology company and lifestyle brand.
Dope.
So the eyes continue to roll. This vodka was dubbed the first carbon-negative vodka. So Air Vodka is made by capturing excess carbon dioxide from the air and transforming it into a high-purity beverage-grade ethyl alcohol. The spirit is made from just carbon dioxide and water. The production process uses electricity to break up carbon dioxide and water, then reforms the carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen atoms together on a catalyst to produce ethanol and oxygen. The method uses the same principles as photosynthesis in plants, but does so more efficiently, which I think is like pretty hilarious, for this company to say that. It's like, plants have been doing this forever. We're already better at it. The conversion reactor produces a mixture of approximately 10% ABV without any solids or other products found in fermentation. The 10% ABV liquid is then distilled to 96.5% ABV in a custom-built 18-plate vodka still. So with 18 plates, it's going to be super smooth.
What's a vodka still?
I would assume column still.
I'm assuming exactly the same
that's
thing.
how they described it. Followed by an additional proprietary trade secret process. I think maybe that's when they actually put vodka in it.
they take NGS and just blend it in.
It brings the vodka's ABV down to 40%. Furthermore, according to Air Company, a single bottle of Air Vodka can provide the carbon reduction of 7.6 trees a day. So, I mean,
I like where their head's at.
Yeah, and as someone who considers himself somewhat of an environmentalist, trying to do just the little things, I mean, if I drank vodka, I would drink Air Vodka.
I drink vodka, and I would like to taste this.
Yeah,
so that way I can laugh and maybe also enjoy it.
Yeah, it's, like I said, it's a lot to digest. It's a lot to digest. Yeah. But that brings us to number one.
Not for the environment, Drew.
No, that's true. Stupid trees. They should just have been making vodka the whole time. So, the number one innovative spirit of the year. Are you ready for this?
I'm so ready.
It is the Hayman's Small Gin. So, London distillery Hayman's took a truly creative approach to creating a low alcohol alternative while still appealing to gin fans with the launch of Hayman's Small Gin last year and just taking the title of Most Innovative Spirit of 2019. Basically what they're doing is Hayman's Gin is said to be so rich in botanical character, only 5 milliliters is required to make a gin and tonic at the same flavor level as a 25 milliliter measure of London dry gin. Bottled at 43%, the flavor profile of Hayman's Small Gin was based on the brand's classic London dry expression. So the packaging, which they say is even equally as clever, each boasts a small gin is boxed in a 200 milliliter gift carton and comes with a 5 milliliter measuring thimble to help consumers familiarize themselves with the tiny serve. The 200 milliliter bottle should provide 40 gin and tonics, 12 more than the standard 700 milliliter, obviously talking about English or UK bottles here, of dry gin served in 25 milliliter measures. So basically, they took gin flavor, made it stronger, kept it the same ABV, and just said, hey guys, just use less. And that was their low ABV approach, which...
Innovative.
I guess when you start at this list, and especially coming off of number 2, when they're converting carbon dioxide into vodka, and then these guys are just kind of like, yeah, we just made it. We threw more botanicals in.
We put it into a small bottle.
We put in smaller bottle, more botanicals.
Have you seen these tiny bottles?
Have you seen this thimble?
They're adorable.
It's as innovative as it comes.
I've been feeding my newborn daughter 5 milliliters at a time.
Yeah.
A formula, so I'm very familiar with 5 milliliters now.
Me as well. I remember doing the same thing, and it just cracks me up. I mean, like this list, which again, you're going to talk about some of your favorite things here outside of the top 5, but it's like, what the hell? How does that become number one?
I don't know.
Like you're just like, we threw more botanicals in it. Why is that innovative? Well, it's a smaller bottle. Like 200 milliliters is not a new size.
It's not.
I mean, they basically said like, hey guys, you want that low ABV option? Use less. Like that was their innovative thought.
I mean, Coca-Cola has been doing that, and they've been putting out commercials for it.
I guess, but I mean, number one.
Yeah, that
seems more like a 7 spot to me.
That seems pretty silly. What makes my little spidey sense go off and makes me actually interested in this is that I know Heyman's. I love Heyman's. I haven't had anything from them that I've ever disliked. It's a great company. I'm very curious. This is a terrible write-up by somebody who I feel just clearly doesn't know what the hell they're talking about, or Heyman's just bought number one. Which I don't think is probably the case. My guess is they actually did something really cool, and whoever is writing the copy on this just doesn't really get it.
Yeah, I mean, they do have a picture of the packaging.
Yeah, it looks like a Heyman's bottle.
And yeah, it's a Heyman's bottle, but it has this little adorable thimble. Or if you are into Peter Pan lore, that is a kiss. You can give someone a kiss of gin.
Oh, that's really adorable, Drew.
Right? Yeah. Callbacks, baby. And
that Disney Plus is really paying off, huh?
Oh, dude, so much. But yeah, so that's the spirits list. Now, there was 100 items listed on this list.
Yeah.
That, we're going to let people kind of go and explore themselves.
Yeah. I mean,
what were some of the other things that jumped out at you?
Just like with the Whiskey of the Year that we talked about, this list was a lot cooler the deeper you got into it. There was a lot of really neat things. I mean, starting off, obviously we talked about wanting to just talk about, top 10 or top 5. So I was looking at top 10 and Centauri AO coming out.
Which is a really cool project.
It's a neat project. We all, not all of us, but you and I know, Drew, that Japanese whiskey sources a lot of whiskey, ages it in Japan, calls it Japanese whiskey, right?
Yeah.
So in this project, my gut instinct was, oh, nice, they're admitting it now because they're taking whiskey from around the world, barreling it and calling it Centauri AO.
Right.
I think they're probably it's going to be a little bit more in depth than that.
I don't think it is, but go on.
Well, I think they're finding whiskeys and they're just maybe they're not aging it; they're just bottling it then and sending it off in a new package. But this Centauri AO wasn't the only one on the list that also had that same MO. There was another one I think down in the 30s that also shared similar, sourcing whiskey from around the world to then become this in the bottle.
Well, what was it? Barrel did a program this year.
Well, Barrel always does it.
But what I'm saying is like they took different single malts from around the United States and then blended those together. So that was kind of a unique project that they had done. You're right. They sourced from everybody, but it's like that project in particular was kind of that cool little thing that they did. And I certainly don't hold this against Centauri or anything like that. I mean, I represent a lot of brands that do that. They source whiskey and then bring it to proof, bottle it.
Right.
And
there's nothing wrong with sourcing. Like we've said, it's always just about transparency, though.
Yeah, and so like this is a step in that direction where I think it's part of that discussion to kind of disarm people. Be like, hey, settle down. Like sourcing whiskey is not a bad thing. Like there's still this touch that Centauri is putting on it that makes it quality. And we're just telling you all these different things.
The touch of the maker is heavy.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. So every time someone puts their hand on some of this juice, it alters it pretty significantly. Going down the list as well, Don Julio aged in Reposado aged in a Lagavulin cask. That's just cool, man. Don Julio is one of my favorite tequilas. I love the Reposado. Lagavulin 16, I've said for a long time, is my desert island scotch. So I could see this being terrible, and I can see it being delicious. The fact that they slapped a label on it makes me think that it was probably okay.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in it.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be fun. It's definitely something I want to try and see if there's any of that sweetness that Don Julio has and how that complements the peat from the cask.
Yeah, well, Lagavulin itself also has that sweet finish to it as well.
Yeah, so I think it and that's part of like Diageo's efforts to expand the rules when it comes to Scotch production and stuff like that. I mean, they also have a Buchanan's barrel that they did in a Don Julio cask, so kind of a switch up there. And then other brands that have done stuff like that, like Mount Gay did an Isla cask.
That's right.
Finished rum. And, recently we just tried the new Milk and Honey. Israeli single malt that had a little bit of like slight peat to it that was finished in a very prominent cask that is not allowed to be publicly discussed. So I'll tell you off mic. So there's some really cool stuff that's happening. And I think I'm always going to be a proponent of doing these different barrel aging types and finishes and stuff like that, because especially when you're a brand like Diageo, like you just have so much juice. Buzzword.
Is that like I was doing Pee Wee Herman's word?
That's exactly where I went with it. I wish we would have discussed it earlier.
Whoa!
Yeah, thank you. We'll have one every time. But yeah, I think it's one of those times where you want Diageo to do it because other smaller brands might not be able to take the same risk. And I mean, you have brands like Kilhoman that does really cool stuff like that. Edradour does the same thing. That they do love to experiment with barrels, but they don't have that reach that Diageo's going to have.
Well, Diageo already owns all of the raw materials that's necessary for doing it. So why not just experiment?
Yeah, and try some different things out. So I think it's cool to see stuff like that. And then again, from a bar perspective or a liquor store perspective, if you have people who are Don Julio drinkers that also happen to be Scotch drinkers, like, hey, here's the marrying of these two worlds for you. Yeah. Or offering things that just a little bit outside that box. You have like a special whiskey flight that month or whatever. It's kind of cool to have projects like this. So now, you mentioned one other trend that seemed to permeate through the entire.
Went through the whole thing, man, and that was cannabis and hemp and CBD all the way through the list. Right. Which, if you're using cannabis and hemp as a flavor, I'm all for it. Mm-hmm. It's related to hops, so by all means, go ahead. That wasn't really what we saw through this list, though. Well, we saw more CBD than anything going through this list, and I don't get it. And maybe somebody else can explain it to me. But it's everywhere. I see CBD infused coffee, CBD infused booze now.
Was it just because it's supposed to be the miracle drug that cures everything?
But is it? I mean, it's an anti-inflammatory. It doesn't. I mean, that's all it does. So it. Does it negate the inflammatory effects of alcohol? Probably not, but I don't know. Maybe you don't get a hangover when you drink it.
I don't know. We might have to have a.
But I don't think anybody's going that deep in it. I think they just see it on there and they're like, "Dope, let's do this."
Right. So it's more trendy than anything else, right?
I believe so.
Yeah,
I believe so. I mean, somebody might be able to prove me wrong, and I'm down to have the conversation. I just don't get it.
Well, you'd like to see more innovation that way. It's not like they're just adding more botanicals to it. No. Not showing real innovation. Yeah. They're just messing around with CBD.
Putting it in a smaller bottle.
Oh my God, that's the ticket right there.
Three more on here that I thought were really worth talking about. There's Archimite, which is a buttered toast. I believe it was a whiskey coming in at number 47. Buttered toast that's been infused with Vegemite.
I was going to say, because I was ready to go the Vegemite route with you.
Yeah.
And that's it. So it's a whiskey with Vegemite
It's the flavor. I didn't write down exactly what spirit was. Sorry, listeners. I apologize.
It's okay. We can. There can be housekeeping next
we
week.
can go back to it. Number 38 was a basil limoncello. I thought that was pretty dope. I mean, it's two things that go together. I wouldn't say it's terribly innovative, but it's popular.
Yeah.
In a bottle, dope. Go ahead. I think that's great. And then Swedish single malts coming in at number 46 from Macmyra. I don't know how innovative single malts are, but I like seeing them come from other places around the world.
Yeah,
the American single malt movement has been growing over the last few years. It's really cool. I've been keeping my eye on Aussie and New Zealand single malts, South Africa, and now Israel also. Those are great.
Yeah.
And then the Nordic countries, watching their single malt just explode.
Yeah. There's one from a Nordic country that they actually use sheep dung to dry the malt.
You know what? I've heard about this as well, and I can't remember what brand it is, but
it's one of those ones.
We're gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, like when you see it, you're like, oh, that's the sheep dung.
Right. Yeah.
It looks very Viking-esque, but I mean, I agree with you. I really, really enjoy seeing single malts coming from different places. I've really been indoctrinated with that over the past 2 years, working with JVS and just kind of having my mind expanded to these different things. Also, going to things like Whiskeys of the World and stuff like that, where you really do kind of ramp up your exposure. So it's cool to see this stuff. And again, this is the 100 most innovative brands for 2019 according to the Spirit Business. So it's a spiritbusiness.com. You can look up the list. You can obviously they've done this for a couple years in a row now. It's a fun read. And again, if you're running a bar program or you're running a liquor store, this is an opportunity to potentially get ahead of trends, to see kind of really what's coming down the pipe. And in a situation like the Don Julio with the Lagavulin cask, it's an opportunity to kind of like bring something new to those types of drinkers. Moving on to our next story, we're actually going to talk about Treasury Brands. Treasury is a major wine outlet here in the United States. They released their quarterly numbers 2 weeks earlier than expected. This is a big deal because those numbers didn't come in as high as they wanted them to come in at. They showed really great growth in foreign countries, but when it came to the US, it wasn't where they wanted it to be. Now, the excuse that they gave was they had some leadership changes in the past year, and originally Angus McPherson was brought in to take over the head of Treasury for the United States. Due to some personal reasons or whatever, I don't know if we'll ever find out, he actually ended up turning down the role because he was unable to relocate to the United States, which I just just so many questions, like what could have stopped you from moving here? I went a little bit more nefarious route with it, but I'm sure it was probably more family related. But then Ben Dollard, formerly of Constellation Brands, stepped up, took over the role, and just with the transition and trying to get everybody up to speed and stuff like that, that's actually what Treasury kind of calculated it up to. Like this is the reason that we were down. Now that's how I read it, but you had a completely different interpretation.
Definitely.
So what jumped out at you? What were the things that you're just kind of like, no, this is deeper than what they're telling us?
First of all, the first sign that something is going not as planned, or there's something else to be read into, is the fact that they released their numbers 2 weeks early. That right there suggests that this has an ulterior motive to releasing these numbers. We've seen with the tariffs, right? With rising prices all around the world, especially in the wine world, and the potential for people losing their jobs, the increase in the dollars needing to be spent in order to get wine to the country, and then passing that along to consumers. It's crazy. Everything's going up. I saw this news as a commentary on the American economy. When reading the interview, they expressed satisfaction with the premiumization of their wines. The higher categories are moving well, but what's not moving well are the subcategories. Anything from I'm probably going to misquote this, but anything from like $30 and under from the grocery store shelves, that's just not doing well for them, which to me means that, your middle and lower class families that normally would spend money on wine aren't. What they're spending money on is the $5 to $9 range of wine, or $5 to $15 range. So you're losing ground in that way. So when they're seeing a drop in their numbers and they're releasing it before the State of the Union, right? Not that, our federal government's ever gonna, pick this up and take it personally, but I think that it really is, it's meant to be a statement, especially since they're publicly releasing, and they're publicly releasing early.
Yeah. So some of the brands that we're talking about here, just so people have a reference point, Penfolds, which is a brand out of Australia, very popular. 19 Crimes, I think people are familiar with that one. It's like the guys talk to you on the bottles and stuff. Sterling, BV, Acacia, Stag. Let's see, Samuel Wynn. Let's see, Behringer, Blossom Hill, Stag's Leap.
Yeah, I mean, a bunch of those are Napa, right? So they're not going to see those same issues, and a lot of those are premium wines as well. Stag's Leap, BV, Penfolds falls all across the board. But when they are specifically talking about a certain price point category not doing well, or as well as previously operating, I believe that it's a commentary on our overall economy, and the fact that they released it early is meant to be a statement.
Well, I mean, and this was something that we talked about when it came to those sodas 2 weeks ago, where it was just like people are not buying the premium sodas because they just don't. They're a couple dollars making a difference. Maybe that's it, and that's just
right.
The economy in general, like you said, not necessarily related to tariffs and stuff like that. But we'll have to wait and see if at the end of the day, like, there was still growth,
but
just
comparatively, like we were talking about with Fever Tree, but comparatively, well, and in the wine sector too, it's something like that. It harkens to a slowing down for sure. And wine, a lot of these wine labels are going to be just fine, but the potential for people losing their jobs in this country is pretty strong.
Right.
If it doesn't
eventually get figured out.
Yeah.
Right.
Or if it keeps on a slowing trajectory.
Yeah. Okay. So heading into our final story of today, and what we consider to kind of be our biggest one that, got people really fired up on the old Facebook. And in fact, I received multiple text messages regarding it as well. Beam Suntory has bought an additional, and that's an important key here because I didn't know this before, 10% stake in the Edgerton company. They already own shares, and they are a strong strategic partner since the 1990s, where they are with them in terms of like global distribution and stuff. So Edgerton, what's the name that pops out at you when you hear that?
McAllen and Highland Park.
McAllen and Highland Park, absolutely. So those are the brands that we're kind of really talking about. They also have
Snow Leopard.
Yeah, Jeff Snow Leopard, and Partida Tequila, and then they also have the rum. Oh gosh, totally blanking on it right now. Starts with a B.
Me too. I'm blanking on it as well.
Producer credit, but anyways, so obviously this is a pretty well established company, and initially when I read it, it was something I was like, oh man, like here comes the takeover. Brugal rum.
Oh, Brugal.
Yeah. Sorry. So I was thinking to myself, here's these power moves that Beam Satori is making. Beam already owns a ton of stuff. This is them getting a stronger foothold. Definitely had a lot of people reach out to me about that and just kind of be like, well, they're actually majority owned by a trust. So it is the Robertson Trust, which is the biggest grant making trust in Scotland. And this
Edrington is owned by the trust?
Okay. Yeah. And they're saying that this money will be used in order to issue more grants, as well as I think some of the money will be going to the employees as well, or at least that's how the article read.
Yeah.
Now, something that someone helped me piece together was recently Edgerton has been making some moves. So they sold Cuddy Sark and Glen Turret recently, which are two Scotch brands. You also, consider taking on this kind of cash injection as well. They could be setting themselves up to buy something. This reminded me of Diageo a couple years ago when they dropped all of their wineries and a lot of their public buildings that they had owned. And then they turned around and dropped a grip of money on Casamigos.
Yeah.
So that could be something that Edgerton is poising itself for, to get this big influx of cash and then go out and buy some sort of potentially game-changing brand. I mean, I don't think it's any secret. I mean, Macallan's prices have been going up recently. And just from personal experience, I know they priced a lot of people out with some of their changes. I still think it's a quality whiskey. A lot of people felt differently. Again, on Facebook, they were very aggressive about it.
Everybody's aggressive on Facebook,
right? But I don't know. Like, if this is the case, and this is 100% speculation right now, what do you think they could be doing? Where do you think they might be moving into?
Well, from a Suntory perspective, the way I see it is this just makes sense, right? You have a generational brand, something that's stable, that lasts. Highland Park is working to get there, still there, but not quite as much as Macallan. Macallan definitely in Edgerton Group definitely pays the bills to keep Highland Park afloat, at least in that realm. And seeing as Suntory already has that partnership, it makes sense to me as an investment that they might be making things just easier on themselves, buying I see it sort of like buying in bulk, right? You throw down a ton of money up front to make it easier on you in the long run.
Yeah,
sure. And I could see that being an argument for why that would make sense for Beam Suntory. Beam Suntory, though, already is the third or fourth or fifth largest.
Last time I had looked into it was the
third largest parent company for booze in the world.
Correct.
So also, realistically speaking, they don't drop that coin without themselves wanting to make moves. So at very least it forecasts a little bit of a merger, which I think you were hinting at. That seemed a little scary to you.
Yeah, I just don't like... I don't like the idea of these big, massive companies. And the reason being is because I think competition makes everybody better. And when you have the big boys all, coming together, and then eventually it just becomes like this one bottom line, I think, you do get some of that flexibility that we talked about earlier with Diageo, but then I think there's brands that suffer.
And without a doubt.
There's definitely
the consolidation makes everything boring.
And it's like, there's a lot of brands in that portfolio that at one point were great brands, and now they're not, because it just didn't make sense for their bottom line anymore. You're taking away some of like the people who really like give a shit and built those brands up and stuff like that. And that's just where I get a little freaked out about it, because I think Beam does a great job. They have a really cool portfolio. They are doing these different things like the world single malt that we were talking about. But at the same time, it's like you have so much stuff. It's just like, God, when is enough enough? You know? And again, it's creating this competition. And, you know, for me personally, I mean, I love Highland Park. That's one of my favorite things. Actually, you know, for our listeners at home, if you didn't listen to the last tasting notes, you guys did Highland Park 18,
we
right?
did. Yeah.
And I think we've talked about it on this podcast before, and I was kind of screaming it through to you guys on it. But Highland Park does have a playlist on Spotify for when you're drinking whiskey.
That's right, they do.
It's so great.
Is it?
It's like I remember when I first and I have a very special place in my heart for Highland Park because that's the brand where it finally clicked for me. Where I was like, I get it. I get Scotch now. I don't know why I had such a hard time wrapping my mind around it, but it was partly Highland Park and then it was partly Brian McGregor, who's a brand new listener to the podcast now because I guilted him into it.
Yeah.
And he's already given us notes, which is great. But so those are the those two factors that really got me into it. And so when I saw that they had done a playlist on Spotify, or I'd heard about it maybe via Twitter or something, I was like, it sounds cool, but it also sounds like it's going to be really stupid. Like, how does that make any sense? And then I started listening to it, and I was like, I really want to drink some whiskey right now. I don't know why. So it's really cool. So on Spotify, look up Highland Park.
I can't wait.
And it's a really great playlist. But I was thinking about that when you guys were doing your tasting notes. And I was really jealous. I was like, oh, man, you're sipping on Highland Park 18, and you brought me some bullshit pear thing when we did it.
Hang on, man. That was not bullshit. That was ancient.
Or we thought so. Then there was all kinds of plastic in it. We're like, it's actually not that old. So yeah.
Wow.
So, you know.
Fuck me for trying, right?
Yeah, definitely. So, you know, kind of bringing it all back. So yeah, so they make this big move. You know, we speculate all we want to into what Edgerton's, you know, going to do. Like one of their more recent pickups was, I think, the Wyoming whiskey. So, you know, they are getting into the American whiskey market. And then, like I said, they do have, you know, they have a rum, they have a tequila. Maybe it's mezcal. You know, they don't have one of those in their portfolio right now. It's a growing trend.
We've seen a lot of speculation with Canadian whiskeys as well. I wouldn't be surprised if they make that move as well. I mean, considering so many whiskey brands already source from Canada, I wouldn't be surprised to see that growth.
Yeah, they don't have a gin right now either. So, you know, I think there's a lot of different routes they could potentially go. You know, or maybe they could make a move into the Baijiu arena. You know,
that would be an interesting one. I'd be surprised to see it, but there have been some fairly commercial friendly Baijus, and we talked about that before. You know, we see that they're making that effort to break into the American market. I mean, they're here already, but really to become commonplace.
Yeah. That could be it. I mean, they could be looking at it as like we're a brand or two away.
Yeah.
Really
establishing talk about an innovative move.
Right. There we go. Yeah. So that could be it. And, you know, again, that's all speculation where they're going. But yeah, just a couple of things to learn. Like, I didn't know that they were majority owned by like this, essentially a charity.
Yeah, me neither.
So that was kind of a cool thing. And then, you know, calling back on like the Cuddy Sark and the Glen Turret.
Oh,
that was one thing that, you know, I had not considered. And then just, you know, looking at it from the strategic partnership, like their global distributors, you know, partnership with Beam Centauria, it makes sense, you know. So we'll see what happens. So that wraps up our story. So now what we have to do is we have to talk shit about Brad Peters.
Easy. Where do I start?
So I wanted to share one of my favorite things about Brad that at times can be hugely inconvenient for everybody else. And I don't know. Like,
God, I hope this is going where it's going.
Well, I always thought I was really good at this, and it turns out I was nothing compared to this man when it comes to the Irish goodbye that Brad Peters is capable of. Yes. And Brad's a really good sport when it comes to like really getting after it. I mean, like the guy is a pretty awesome drinker. And he has this affinity for like drinking at these suburb bars that are just not making quality drinks, but he just loves it. And
yeah, he's a trashy human being.
Yeah, he really can be. And there was one time when we were at a bar in the suburbs, And it was just everything you wanted it to be and more. And it was just getting to a point where we're getting pretty tuned up. And I happened to catch him in the act of trying to Irish goodbye us.
That's fantastic.
Which, obviously defeats the whole purpose. So for anyone who doesn't know what the Irish goodbye is.
Wait, was this at the Pink Martini?
It was!
Yes!
Yes! Yeah. And so, so the Irish goodbye, anytime that you try to leave a party, it's difficult, right? So the Irish goodbye is you just leave. You don't say goodbye to anybody or anything like that. But when you get caught in an Irish goodbye, not a good situation. Because in this scenario, he's ditching all of his friends. And I was like, where are you Irish goodbying us right now? And he's drunk. No. And then got like a little indignant about it, It was just like, because you could tell he was pissed and he kind of got caught in the act, because that's just what he's done it to me numerous times before.
Oh.
So I don't know if I have like a radar for it now. I was like, when is he going to try to leave us?
Well, I'll give you at least a couple visual clues. First of all, Brad is a very jolly drunk.
Yes.
He is a hugger. He's a kisser. He sings and dances, but more importantly than anything, because he's already kind of that way no matter what, but his hair does a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing.
Oh, yes. Oh, my God. Yes,
it's like immediate. As soon as Brad gets drunk, his hair just pops up.
It's up.
And you're like, well, how does that even happen? And it's just, there it is. There's drunk Brad.
Yeah, I used to have a thing where, based on where my hat was at on my head, that was like, oh, Drew's like halfway to gone right now. Like it's that was my measuring stick. But yes,
the worst part about Brad wanting to leave a party is not that Brad wants to leave a party. It's the fact that he orders 10 drinks and then doesn't pay for them. I believe that it's completely sincere. It's not he's trying to be a dick. He's just innately a dick.
Yeah.
He just orders them and then leaves.
But he's like, I did everybody a favor. Like everybody's next drink is already here.
Yeah, because they're all now distracted in having a drink that he can leave.
There's his opening for the Irish goodbye.
That's right.
So
what a motherfucker.
Brad, you're a total dick.
Yeah.
This segment will continue.
Yeah.
Until we hear from you that you're listening.
Well, and I think this is a really solid PSA moment. Just don't be a Brad.
Don't be a Brad. There it is, folks. Don't be a Brad, our official sign-off.
Don't be a Brad 2020.
From now on. I do want to say that 2 weeks ago, you had come up with a really great question for what we want to ask people when they do come on the show. And I don't want us to get into it right now because I do want to save this for when we have somebody next. But now that you are a dad, you had this question like, what bottle would you leave your kid? Right? That was kind of how you phrase it. And I think that's awesome. I want everybody at home to think about that. And I want a volunteer to be like, I want to come on the show and I want to talk about this.
So, okay, here's my question. Is it any theoretical bottle or a bottle that you have or have had in your collection?
I don't know. And I think that's why we got to keep it open-ended.
Fair. And I think we can change those criteria
as time goes on.
Based on conversations.
For sure. So we'll do that. So folks, think about that. Also, if you find yourself in Rum Congress this coming week in Miami, yours truly is going to be there. I will actually be pouring the Charanda expressions. So come out. It's going to be a really fun trip.
I'm pretty jealous, man. I like Miami.
Be my first trip.
It's a really cool city.
Yeah, so I'm really excited. There's a lot of people who I've cultivated friendships with via the interwebs that will finally be able to consummate that friendship in real life. And there's obviously some really cool bars out there as well, and it's always fun to hang out with other rum enthusiasts. So
yeah, if you want to see Drew and you happen to be in Miami and just happen to be listening to this podcast,
there's a lot of factors that need to come together.
Yeah,
but
you're probably the only one, so you should hit him up.
Yeah, you're obviously a fan. I'll even take a picture with you. So with all that said, again, congratulations on the birth of your daughter. She's absolutely beautiful. Very excited for you.
Appreciate
I mean, you always had bags under your eyes, but now you really have bags under your eyes, and that is the sign of true fatherhood.
Yeah.
So cheers to you, buddy.
All right, bud. All right, guys. Have a great night.
The Good Bottle Podcast was recorded at the Good Bottle Shop in Sacramento, California. Music is by Leon Moore and Chase Moore. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at The Good Bottle Podcast.